You just got home from a photo shoot and downloaded your raw images, but they just don't seem to have the pizzazz that you were hoping for. Let me show you today how you can get started with making those images meet your expectations. That's what we're talking about today on Nadine Flynn Photography. Hi there everyone. If you shoot your images in RAW, and I hope that you do, the resulting images are often very flat and lack pizzazz. And so today I want to show you how to give your images that little bit of punch that you might be looking for. So for example, in this image that I took while I was on a trip to Alaska, in the moment I thought it was just stunning. And when I got it home on my computer, I thought, yeah, it's all right. It's not that great. But in fact, I was able to edit it so that it gave that feel that I was really wanting. The first thing that I think every image needs is good contrast. If you have good contrast, that gives you that punch that you might be looking for. If you look at the histogram here for this image, you can see there are no highlights at all. The histogram stops right here on the bright side. There's also no clipping, which that's good, given how dark these trees are. But we want to have a little more contrast and a little more punch. So I could try the contrast slider here, moving that over all the way. It still does not give me any highlights. It gave me a lot of contrast here, but I still have empty highlights on the histogram here. So let's not do that. We'll put that back. Some people like to use the clarity slider, and you can really get some drama with the clarity slider, but it happens mostly within the midtones. And so it's also caused the blacks to go very, very black. It's not a great tool to use in extreme like this. You never really want to do that. So we'll put that one back as well. We could use dehaze, a number of other sliders. We could also use the tone curve. Many people like using the tone curve, and I do too, however, not for this particular thing. So if you pick a point in the highlights on the tone curve and move it up, it does brighten things really nicely. And if we are seeking that S curve, we're going to come down to the shadows and pull that down. That does give us contrast, but if we look at the histogram again, we still have nothing in the highlights. So we're going to go back to our original, and what we're going to do is set the white and the black points for this image. Now on a Mac, what I need to do is hold down my Option key, and then I'm going to click on the white slider and start moving it over. As you can see, the screen is entirely black, but when I get to clipping the whites, it starts to show, so I back off just a bit. Now I've got whites in the highlight area and the image is much better balanced. But I want to also set the point for the black point. So again, holding down the Option key on my Mac, I move the black slider to the darker blacks, and once I see it clipping, then I back off and bring that up just a bit. And now I have a nicely exposed image with the white point set as well as the black. But now the image is absolutely ready to edit. I can do all of my typical edits that I would normally do. And in fact, I may want to use the tone curve to add some additional punch to this. I may want to use the contrast slider just a bit, or the clarity slider. Now the image is ready for editing. So we started with a raw image, although I did crop it and straighten out the horizon. So I've got a flat horizon, and then went on to set the white and the black point. So I started here, adjusted my level, set the white point, and then set the black point. Now the image is ready for my regular edit. And in fact, I did edit this image earlier, and this is my result. So I added some punch with color, not overly, but I really am very pleased with this image, much happier than the way it looked when I brought it home and looked at it in the raw. So keep those points in mind. Set that white point, set the black point, and that'll give you a great image to complete your edit with. I hope those tips help, and let me know in the comments if you've tried it and how it's worked for you. Thanks for joining me today on Nadine Flynn Photography.